Hey there, wonderful women. It's Pause with Elizabeth Eleanor, and today we're going to be talking about breadcrumbing. Do you get the bare minimum in your relationships when it comes to love, when it comes to anything actually, but dating, all the things, relationships? When you're getting the bare minimum of what you need, then there's something that is within you that you need to look at of why that's happening. So let's just have a look to see if I'm actually on. I am. I'd love for you to say hi in the chat when you come on, where you're watching from, all the things. So breadcrumbing is actually a name. It's sort of like ghosting. You know, we've all heard ghosting. Breadcrumbing is something that I didn't even recognize the language around it until I started realizing that I was, I heard the word and then I went, oh my gosh, that's what's been happening to me for so long in my relationships. From even in my relationship with my mum to start with, all the way back. But in my first couple of relationships, I would get a lot of attention, and I want you to, reflect. This is all about pause, where we're reflecting on our own experience here, right? So this is a conversation that we're having together. I'm just going to put this up here so I can see and watch to see who's going to join me on this conversation. I watched when I would have this relationship, and to start with, it would be all, hey Marianne, it would be all exciting and lots of attention, lots of, pleasing me, pleasing my emotions, like being all in my face and all there and wanting me, and I'd feel so loved and so adored and so wanted. And when I started making decision of, yes, let's do this, and yeah, I'm ready and I want to be in this relationship with you, slowly that attention would just drift away, right? I remember in my second relationship, I actually got married, and the energy that I was getting, of I want you, right? There was just this beautiful romantic experience that I was having, where there was love notes and there was little things that, like, let's go on a picnic, and telling me how amazing I was and all of those things. But as soon as we got married, that just completely changed, because it was like, the lion that gets his prize, the warrior that's got his prize and now has no interest anymore. And so then there'd be this cycle, right, where I'd feel neglected and feel emotionally unsupported. And so through that experience, I'd be, you want to express that and you say, hey, what happened? Why are you treating me this way? And you'd get little bits, right? Little bits of stuff. Hey, Amanda. Hey, Ruth. So you get little bits of energy given to you. So just enough, like a woman that's, imagine that you're in the desert and you're desperately wanting water. And there's this little tiny trickle, and you get some on your tongue, and it's like, and you feel this feeling in your body of some sort of slight satiated feeling of nourishment. But it's just not enough to really support you in your life. So I'd love for you to share if you've had this experience, right? Now, it can be in a relationship that you're in, and it doesn't have to be a love relationship. You can have this sort of thing happen in work environments as well. You can have this in friendships. I know when I was dating, and I finally decided I was going to go on those horrible dating apps, because oh my gosh, if you're dating, throw in here a love heart if you're dating and you hate those dating apps because they are so toxic. It's like the bog of eternal stench, right? Like if you're an empath or you're energetic, um, give me a hands up, because you know what I'm talking about. You step into these apps and you can feel the energy is just so low and toxic. It's horrible. It's a horrible experience. And yet we've got to do that to a certain degree when we're single and we're looking to, be out there and promote ourselves in whatever way to, be part of the scene and actually maybe attract the partner of, the love of our life. So I went on these dating apps and I discovered that there's a bit of a technique to it, right? When you first go on, and this is the energetic side of it, when you first go on to these dating apps, you get everyone and their dog, jumping into your field, trying to talk to you, all of those things. And you just need to sift through all of the crap, right? Because there's scammers in there and there's spammers in there. You just have to sift through it all. And you get to this point where you start finding some of the wheat among the chaff. Is that what they say? You start finding some quality people, right? But they're only like the next level up. Well, I had this experience with this guy, and he was one of these next level people, right? But like, he looked like he was way more than that. We got on really, really well. He was very quick-witted. He was very intelligent, had all of the same qualities that I wanted in a partner. All the things. I felt a little bit intimidated by him because he seemed to be self-assured and confident and all the things. And so we would talk, and then all of a sudden he'd be gone, like for weeks, and on with his life, doing his thing. He had a very complicated relationship with his ex, and he had kids, and they were sort of co-parenting, and they were co-creating a business together, and so it was all a bit sticky. But he would be right in there, totally gung-ho, totally present, but then he would just completely, like, it was like he was ghosting me, but it was that he just couldn't cope with his life and the dating at the same time. And so he'd come back and he'd apologize and blah 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 and reel me back in, and I would listen, and I would, that's okay, I'm not, hey Tam, hey Marianne, this is for you guys as well, right? I'm sure that you've had breadcrumbs in your life where you get just like a little bit. You just get a little bit of energy from this person, and just enough for you to start making excuses for them. Maybe this is because of this, and maybe they just don't have enough time, and that's okay. I remember with this guy, his name was Joe. I remember saying to him, it's okay, I'm busy too, and, I'm not really looking for a strong, full relationship right now, which was actually a lie to myself, because I was ready. I just didn't know. Because when I was talking to Joe, I actually met Tim on the beach, right? So it wasn't until I met Tim, who was very present, very there, very loving, very supportive, all the things that I wanted and didn't realize how much I wanted. Tim was doing that, and that showed me the difference between what I'd been experiencing before in other relationships, and also what I was experiencing with this guy Joe, who was doing these breadcrumbs. And it's not that, well, sometimes maybe they know what they're doing and other times they don't, because life is hectic, and maybe not everyone's totally aware of the energy that they're giving out, right? But here's the thing. If you are a woman that is getting breadcrumbs in your relationships, and I would love for you to just share, have you had this experience? Because I know that we can all have an experience of this in one way or another in our life. So where it comes from is often it's from our relationship with our father or with our mother, right? And if we had a father that wasn't present, you know, way back, like I'm 53 this year, I had to think about that. 53, so way back, you know, in when I was growing up in the 70s, dads were not available emotionally. Dads were often working, and mums were in the home, you know, raising the kids. That's the way it was. Not in my family. My family, my dad was sick on a kidney machine, and so he was the one that was at home, and my mum was never present. So she was never around to give me the emotional support I needed from the feminine. And when she was there, she was so overwhelmed and so tired and so exhausted and all those things that she wouldn't, you know, I would be lucky to get some emotional support from her every blue moon, you know. So I didn't get a lot of emotional support from the feminine. I did get it from the masculine. I also had two brothers, and so I felt way more comfortable with men than I did with women growing up, because women were non-existent in my life. And the other part of that is, you know, I had this big smile and long blonde hair, big eyes, I suppose. And so I often had women have problems with me, right? You know, it's the pretty ones that have hassles with the other women, because women can be jealous and a bit bitchy, right? And so when you're a little bit different, or you've got something that someone else wants, then that's when you can start finding that there's a little bit of, you know, conflict, and there's you can get picked on and bullied. And so I also found that I had that from the men, you know, the guys at school. I was often had a lot of attention from the guys at school, which was really scary for me, because I wasn't given the tools of how to handle myself. I wasn't confident enough. And there was two kids in particular, two guys at school that used to sort of give me attention that I was scared of them. One of them, his father was in jail, and so he was a bit of a rough nut. And I was really scared of him, like going home from school and all of those things. And so these things all equate to how your life is now, and whether you're getting the attention that you require, because we all need our cup filled, right? We live in a human body where we are separate, we're an individual, and we are not just a rock on a solitary island, right? We actually relate to other people. That's the whole experience that we're having as a spiritual being in a physical body, is that we're here to relate with others, right? And to understand that we're all the same, and that we're all in this together, and we're observing and experiencing the same, you know, the oneness. However, we're doing that through the individual lens of our identity. And so if our identity had wounding from childhood, if we were wounded in some way from 0 to 3 and up to 7, you know, these formative years, then we take that on, that wounding, in our relationships now. If you haven't sorted that wounding out, if you haven't worked out why you're just allowing these breadcrumbs to happen, then you're not getting your fulfillment in one way or another. And so therefore it's feeding that not good enough, not worthy, not significant. You're feeding that energy, and you're then getting more lack within your system. And so therefore you're creating lack within your environment, within your love circles, within your relationships. And so if your frequency is radiating that out, then you're attracting more of the same. over and over. You're attracting people that are going to fawn you, like you're in that place where you're getting a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but not enough to really feed your soul. So I've got to ask you, if you're in a relationship that's happening, what's within you that's feeding this? What is in you that's allowing yourself to get just a little bit of love, just a little bit of fulfillment? When you're in this space where you're just getting enough and your thirst is never quenched, then that is not a beautiful cycle for abundance. And so it's having to look into these deeper parts of ourselves, this psyche that is holding this same pattern over and over again, because until something changes, nothing's going to change, right? If you're allowing these relationships in your life where you're just getting breadcrumbs, then until you make a decision that you are worthy of more than this and you start fighting for your soul to experience more, then you're never going to have that vibrational shift within you, that raising of your frequency, of your vibration, to attract more than that. More love, more support, more fulfillment, more abundance, more joy into your life. So it starts with the little tiny moments. It starts with those little incremental spaces, those pauses, those moments where you can shift in your day-to-day, moment-to-moment experience. In those little decisions of making excuses for somebody when they're breadcrumbing you or they're ghosting you, right? There's so much ghosting out there these days where so many people just cut you off, right? Off they go. Intense ghosting is where they completely block you and on all things, right? And it's just part of society these days that is the way things are. And it's like, when did we get to a society where it was okay for behaviors like this? And ladies, I've got to tell you, until we make that decision ourselves to step up individually, one moment at a time, and say, no, I'm not going to be treated like this. No, I'm not going to allow you to, I'm not going to allow the behavior in me that is holding that. Is us that has to make this as an active, conscious experience in our lives, to make this decision not to put up with this anymore. That we are more than, we are worthy, we are powerful beings, and to take ownership of that power, right? So those little tiny incremental moments, those moments make a huge difference. Those moments of saying, no, I'm not going to allow you to treat me like this or to behave this way in front of me. Those moments of looking within us where we might be breadcrumbing somebody else or ghosting somebody else, right? Everything's as within, so without, as above, so below, all of those things. So it starts with us and our reflection on, is this something that you're actually doing in your life to somebody else? And if it is, let's change that, let's shift that, let's be aware. And when we shift into that and look at where we may be breadcrumbing, are we breadcrumbing someone, giving them only little bits at a time, because actually we don't want to have that relationship anymore? For whatever reason, it doesn't serve us. For whatever reason, maybe you're moved out of, different paths. maybe you've got different, different hobbies and different character things that you have grown out of that don't serve you anymore, but you've still got friends that are doing the same thing over and over again. If that's the case, then it's taking self-responsibility, self-authority, and actually making the decision to let go of those relationships, right? Because if we're breadcrumbing out of some sort of obligation and feeling guilty that we've got this person in our life, but actually we don't want them in our life anymore, but we hold on because that's the nice, that's the good girl thing to do, then that needs to shift as well, right? It's better to rip the Band-Aid off than it is to pull it off really slowly and have all the pain of each one of those hairs being ripped off, right? And so looking at where you are doing the same to other people and cleaning that up, cleaning up the energy of why you're holding on to this and why you're making excuses for other people's behaviors, saying, speaking up for yourself and saying, no, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in this. And this is what I did with that guy, Joe, because I had this thing that he was somehow better than me, and that I just had to stand up to his standard, right? Even though he was doing this to me, he was, he'd be all in, and then I wouldn't see him. I never saw him actually. It was more online on the app. I think we were texting each other in WhatsApp at one stage. And so I was making excuses of who I was according to that. But it wasn't until I met Tim and noticed how much love and support and availability and connection we had, and how much he wanted to give me, and how much I wanted to give him, and that hasn't changed, right? I didn't know that existed, and it does. I'm telling you, ladies, whatever you want is there. It's willing to give it to you. You've just got to become the vibrational match for it. When I recognized that in Tim, then I recognized how much I was lowering my standard and making excuses of who I was or what I wanted to try and match someone that wasn't giving me the full drink, little tiny drops of water just to quench my thirst. Because I had been neglected in love all my life as a child and in my formative years, and then as a young teenager, there was so much neglection from love in my life that I was willing just to take that drop of water because it looked like it was going to quench my thirst, right? And that's all I'd been used to. I'd only been used to those little drops of water before. And so when I started getting the whole cup and being able to drink as much as I wanted whenever I wanted to, it changed my whole perspective. And I realized that I didn't want what Joe was giving me because I was compromising myself. And I realized how much I've been compromising in all my other relationships as well. So I was fortunate enough to experience it first and then make that decision. I'm telling you, if you can start recognizing that, this is the thing, ladies, I just want to share something. The whole thing is about that we are amazing creators. If we can just recognize whatever it is that you want to create in your life, you have the ability to create that. If we can just get that in, and that actually it's not hard, it's actually easy, that's going to make a huge shift in you. When you start going, this is what I want and I'm not compromising, that's when all of this weight, all of these little tendrils of energy that are seeping out of you, that you're giving energy and attention to outside of yourself, that don't serve you, that's when they will all start cleaning up. And you've got this one focus of what it is that you want to create, and now you're in alignment. Now this is really interesting, because this month in our Awaken Magical Women, in this Facebook group, we've just started doing monthly mixes, right? Where it's a free event every month, and I want to do support each one of you to have a mini win, to see and show you how powerful the mini wins are in our life, right? So last month we did the Mad Hatter's Tea Party, and we embraced our true self, right? We did a beautiful meditation. I know one woman came back to me, it was the first time she was in my world, and she came back to me and she said, that was so powerful. I've got so much just out of that meditation. She's off doing a thing in the world, right? Beaming her light. This month, we're doing Follow the White Rabbit, because one of the things that I have just recognized in the last maybe year, maybe it's been a year, maybe less than that, is my ability to follow threads of energy. I call them illumination points, right? That my higher self is dropping in for me to see, and I just follow them, right? So, synchronicities, people talk about synchronicities, seeing 111. I just saw on the little timer here, it said 2222, right? Those little synchronicities, we get all excited about them. Oh, I've just seen triple numbers again. Oh, I saw this on a car license plate, whatever it might be, and we take them as just this little individual moment. What I do is I see these threads, and there's a story behind them, and I want to share that with you. And because now I'm calling it Follow the White Rabbit. These are breadcrumbs, but in a different form. They're not breadcrumbs of lack and neglect. These are breadcrumbs from the other side of the spectrum. These are breadcrumbs from your higher self, saying, come this way, follow my trail, because I'm leading you to all the things that you love and adore and desire in life, all the purpose, all the destiny, all of the things that you came down as a spirit and a soul and said, this is what I want to experience this time around. Your higher self is trying to give you messages on how to follow that, right? So on the 21st, I think it's the 21st. Irene, if you're still on here, can you just confirm that? On the 21st, we have Follow the White Rabbit monthly mixer. So it goes for an hour and a half, right? 90 minutes. And it's all about following your higher self, the breadcrumbs from your higher self. Following the White Rabbit down Wonderland. And even if you are someone that sees the synchronicities already, I'm sure that you will get lots out of this, because it's about not second guessing. It's about understanding which voice to listen to, which image or which whatever it is, and is all about recognizing your higher self and what your higher self is giving you, so that you can follow those signs and be in alignment with what you want to create. So if you're interested and want to follow the White Rabbit with us on the 21st, put a little rabbit in here and we will send you the link. It's going to be a fun experience where, of course, we're going to do a meditation, and we'll do some exercises on what that looks like, on how to follow those synchronicities. And the other part of that is watch what's going on in our space here, because there's little things that you can follow as you go along till the 21st. There's little signs that you can watch, and I'm not going to tell you any more, but I'm sure that you'll pick it up as you go along. So, breadcrumbs of lack and neglect, or breadcrumbs from your higher self? Which one are you going to choose? I know which one I rather. And so if you're ready, jump in and join us on the 21st for Follow the White Rabbit. And we will see you next week. Take care.